Thank you, Mace. Thank you, everyone, for coming. And I'm excited about this topic because it means a lot to me, because I think one thing that really changed my life and also my relationship with my siblings, my parents, and especially my wife and my daughter is this topic. There's a lot of topics that really helped me out, but this is kind of like foundational in understanding how everything works. So there's a handout. If you haven't gotten it, I think Mace has it, and here, get it to you. But it's called Nanai Ike Kumu. And I shared this to practitioners in Hawaii. I don't think you heard of Lomi Lomi. It's a Hawaiian massage. And it's I spoke it to they call them the masters of practitioners in Lomi Lomi. And I give this class to them because it helps them to understand the whole concept of healing. Because healing is not just physical, when it comes to like massage, but there's also a mental aspect to it, and there's a spiritual aspect to it. It's all together, physical, mental, and spiritual. You can't separate it. And I know like in certain, like the Western culture, it separates everything. If you're physically sick, you go and see a what? Doctor, right? The medical doctor, go to the ER. If you're mentally sick, you go see a what? Psychiatrist, counselor, psychologist, right? Separate. And if you're spiritually sick, who do you go and talk to? You talk to who? Rabbi, priest, right? Whatever, minister. So you see how it's separated? But we're a complete whole person where you can't really separate the physical, mental, and spiritual, because it intertwines and it overlaps. And that's how we believe, especially in Hawaii, with our Hawaiian culture, we believe that we're all one. You're a complete person. Your physical affects, if you're not feeling good physically, it affects your emotional your moods. If you're not feeling good, like if your emotional is not going good, you're stuffing down your negative emotions, that can affect your physical health as well. You know, people with pain and hurt in their hearts, or like they get shocked or something, they can get a heart attack because the emotions, it affects the physical as well. So in Hawaii, that's where I was born. I was born and raised on a big island of Hawaii. How many been to Hawaii? Let me see. Who wants to go to Hawaii? Anyone want to go to Hawaii? Okay. So in Hawaii, on the big island, where I'm from, there's a river that I grew up next to called Wailuku River. And it has these cliffs and called bowling pots. And I grew up there jumping off the rocks, bombing, powdering, we call it. Gainers. How many guys do manu over here? Let me see. Okay, so my thing was a can opener. So I like to shoot the highest. And I just grew up jumping off these rocks. And this river is called Wailuku River. And this one river accounts for thousands of rivers in Hawaii. This one river accounts for 25% of all the deaths in Hawaii. So many people have died in this river. This is my backyard where I swam a lot. And all these people, every time I see a helicopter going by that's orange and yellow, I know already that somebody died, because they're not looking to try and save them because it's too late. They're trying to find the body. So they bring the scuba divers out, and so many people have actually just drowned here. And the problem is that many times they don't understand the root causes of why. A lot of people come there and from the outside, they didn't grow up around the area. They don't know what the secrets are about boiling pots and the dangers all around there. So there was a couple that came from the outside, and they were walking across on the top river above the falls, and they saw the water rising. And they crossed the river, and they said, oh, let's get back to the other side. So they tried to cross to the other side, but the water rose so quickly, it swept them over the waterfalls, both of them. And the guy survived, but they couldn't find the girl. And the girl came, she was a traveling nurse from California. The parents flew from California to Hawaii, and every day they waited in the parking lot just to find the body. And it took them 3 whole weeks. And when they finally found the body of this girl, her face was gone because the water just smashed. This tears up the body when it hits all the boulders and everything. No hair. It is a horrible experience for the parents to find the daughter like that. And the sad thing is that many times people who die there, they don't understand the dangers of the source of the problems or the root cause. They think, well, everything's looking good. It's a sunny day. The water's not really rushing. But they don't realize in certain places that the root cause is that it looks calm, but when you go down too deep, there's actually a funnel that kind of sucks you down, and there's underground caves that pull you and sucks you in this cave and gets you stuck inside of there. They don't realize that it may look sunny all the way around, like that day when they were swimming, and they didn't realize that the symptoms, looking around, wow, everything looks good here, but looking out 20 miles, if they just look up 20 miles up to the mountain, they'll see that there's a big rainstorm up there and there's just flowing a lot of water. And that's where the flash flood comes from. So it's not good to just look where you're at that's obvious to you. We need to look beyond to the root cause way up in the mountain. So Nana means look. Kumu in Hawaiian means source. So, or the root cause. In other words, look to the source. Don't look at what's around you. Don't look how things are looking right present in front of you, but look beyond what's present. Does that make sense to you? Look to the mountain. Look to the source. In the mountain, you're going to find out it is safe for me to be here. Do I need to be careful for like this storm to come or the flash flood to come, and it's going to be safe for me. And that's why there's something I learned this swimming there at Boiling Pots. In the same way, if we discover the root cause or the true source of our problems, like when it comes to our problems in our life and we're getting angry, the tendency is for us to look at our anger. Okay, this manages anger, or let's just stop it. Not realizing that's just in front of us. We got to go back. What's the root cause? What's going on in this mountain wave in my heart? What's going on? Is it raining? What happened to me before? Why am I getting angry? That's the question to ask. And then going back, Nani ke kumu. This is everyone in Hawaii knows. A lot of Hawaiians know this. We call it olelo no ea. It's a wise saying, like Hawaiian proverbs. But not too many people even understand the meaning behind Nani ke kumu, to look to the source. And so I realized a lot of people, as we've been having our schools and this seminars and this traveling different places in the United States and around the world, realizing not too many people, I say about 95% of the people don't understand what it means to reason from cause to effect, what we're going to be talking about tonight. Very few people knows what it's like to look to the mountain. So there's something that it takes, and it's actually easy for you. Any tradies around here? I mean, knows how trades or anything? Yeah? Like carpenters, plumbers, or car mechanics, or barbers, no? But if you are in any of these trades, it helps you to understand, because you learn more so when you work with your hands how to reason from cause to effect. So think about it as like a house, and the framers went up and they put all the framing up, but they did a bad job, or like you did it, okay? And then you put up, what's going to happen to like the doorways and the windows, right? So if you're trying to fix the doorway, say, well, I'm going to shave up the sides, right? And you make it, it's going to be so slanted, but it's so bad. It's not like a few centimeters. It's really bad. The doorway is so slanted, it's so obvious, okay? That's fixing the symptoms. Shaving the door is fixing the symptoms. If you want to fix the root cause, you're going to have to fix the spots in your frame to make it all plumb. Does that make sense? So that's fixing the root cause. Why? So you won't have problems in the future again. So that's what we're looking at in a practical sense. Any questions on this so far? Does that make sense to you? Okay. So in your handout, it says we must reason from cause to effect. So here the source leads to the symptom. Modern medicine today. So I'm for modern medicine. Modern medicine works, especially what they call like acute care. You're in a car accident, or you need surgery to save your life, or you have like bacterial infection, you have antibiotics. I totally believe in that. But there's something called like diseases, chronic diseases, where a lot of people who are dying in this world from heart disease or diabetes, or these different diseases can actually be reversed by just your lifestyle, but what you eat, and actually by how you live, exercise. And I've been involved in programs where we can actually reverse these sicknesses of high blood pressure just by changing your lifestyle. And when someone's sick, what do you normally take? What do they give you? Give you what? Meds, right? Like a pill. The fact that, say like you have high blood pressure and you're taking these meds for high blood pressure, the fact that you have to continue to take that high blood pressure medication over and over and over again is proof that that pill does not cure you. The fact that you take it for the rest of your life till you die, because if it did cure you and heal you, then you only have to take it maybe one time. But the fact that you continue doing it, showing it as not really solving the root cause, it's only dealing with the symptom. So that's what the direction modern medicine has gone. And if you have high blood pressure, what do? They give you a pill. That means that the blood has a hard time. Your arteries are so clogged with fat, right? It's hard for the blood to go through these arteries. So you have to take a pill that thins your blood so it can go through easier. Does that make sense? So you're not solving the problem of taking off the plaque off the walls of your arteries and everything by changing your diet or exercising. But let's say you take a pill that thins your blood. But again, that's dealing with the symptoms. You're just shaving the wood off the door. You're not really fixing the frame of the house by changing your lifestyle. It's the easy way to do, which is harder to do, right? Take a pill or go to the gym, work out, or eat health. Change your diet. It's easy. Many people rather just take a pill. And that's what's happening. And it lowers the blood pressure, but it's not listening to the body warnings. High blood pressure is just a sign that was given within our body to warn us that something inside is wrong. And so rather than listening to the sign to change our lifestyle, we're actually destroying the very thing by hiding the symptoms by taking a pill. So remember Fukushima in Japan, they had that accident over there and had a radiation going everywhere? You remember that? Yep. So what if you're working as a manager and a radiation leak and this explosion happened and the light's going beep, beep, and the flashing red light's going like this, and you look at that and you're thinking to yourself, man, the thing is so irritating. So you get one sledgehammer and you look at the light and the alarm and you smash it. And the light goes off and the alarm goes off and you go, I feel better now. And you go back to your work. What would people think of you? This guy's an idiot, right? This guy is crazy. But that's what we do with our bodies. Like the body is warning us that you have high blood pressure because your arteries are getting clogged. You don't change your lifestyle, you're going to get a heart attack. I said, that's okay. I'm just going to take a pill to thin my blood so everything's good. My blood pressure comes to normal. I'm okay. Does that make sense? So we're not dealing with the root cause. We're doing the same thing to our bodies with a sledgehammer and smashing the alarm. I say, we don't need that alarm. Just take a pill and the alarm goes away. Everything's all good. Okay. No stress of going to the ER ever again. Does that make sense? So that's the same thing we're doing. So the problem is that there's no money in looking to the source. Like all these companies that sell drugs, medications to us, they make billions of dollars, right? Selling drugs to us. They're not interested in finding a cure for, or you changing your diet, or you changing or exercising, because there's no money in you getting healthy. There's money in selling drugs to you, so that's how they make their money. So why would they want a cure, right? Changing your lifestyle is actually what's going to make you more healthier. And so that's just a trend today. Everyone thinking, deal with the symptoms and not dealing with root causes. And that's very important. So my question is, in your handout, you can look at it, and I'm going to give you like a minute just to think about this, because this is going to relate to the emotional side, but I want to connect it. But first, let's look at the physical. Have you ever treated your physical symptoms without treating your physical root causes? And my question was, what was it? So I want you to think about it silently for like maybe 20 seconds. Just think about that question. Have you ever treated your physical symptoms without treating your root causes? That's good. Good, Nick. He went ahead already. He knows already. He knows. Very good. So he made a connection, yeah? That there's not only the physical, but there's actually the emotional realm, yeah? Like the mental realm, huh? The alcohol. That's good. Do you guys kind of see that already? Kind of like there's some, not only the physical, but in the emotional realm, there's actually root causes as well. And in the Bible, yeah, in sacred scriptures, there's actually, in Genesis, it talks about before there was darkness, right? There was light, but before there was light, there was darkness. So the source of all sources, so that there was a darkness before the light. So have that and have that in your mind, okay? In Hawaiian religion, there's something called the Kumulipo, and Kumu means source, right? We learned that. Lipo means darkness. And you would think that the Hawaiian creation story of how the islands came to be, came out of the sea and everything, you would think that would be called the source of light. But it wasn't, the Hawaiians didn't call it the source of light, they called it the source of darkness. And so when you're going back to the source or the root cause, you have to go to the darkness. So in the physical realm, so when we talk about physical here, that, yeah, when you talk about high blood pressure, you got to go to the darkness of your physical side. Like, well, what is it? What's wrong with my arteries? It's all clogged. Okay, you don't want to hear that. You don't want to hear that, or you could get a heart attack. You don't want to hear that. That's too dark. But you got to go to that darkness. Why? Because when you go to that darkness, you can figure out what's wrong, and then you can apply the right, correct solution. Because if you don't go to that darkness and you just guess, you could just be doing the wrong thing to fix and find the right solution. Does that make sense? So when we go to example, in our diet, they did a study, National Geographic did a study on, they went from 3 and then to 5, the longest living people in the world. And you have the Sardinians, you had the Okinawans, and you had the Adventists from Loma Linda. And the one common thread that you had, and now there's 5, they added 2 more. But the one common thread to all of this, people who lived the longest in the world, you know what it was? I mean, there's several key characteristics, but the main theme of all of them was that they were all living on a plant-based lifestyle, diet, which is more simple, which means like less on even not eating heavy meat diet. And I came from like a strong heavy meat eating family, right? And but you think about it, even the cultures of, say, the Hawaiian culture and Samoa or whatever, and Tahiti and the Pali Islands and everywhere, you know, back in the day, they were very active. They had to actually hunt their own food, right? And they had to actually work hard to grow their own food. They're very active physically as well. And then also, the foods they ate was not all, they didn't have really that much chemicals in it, right? So in Captain Cook, you guys heard of Captain Cook, right? And he's in Hawaii, right? But do you know that he died in Hawaii? Do you guys know that? Captain Cook, yeah, they killed him in Hawaii. Do you know that? And anyway, when he came to Hawaii and he wrote down and everything about what he saw, he said all the natives, they were not out of shape. They're very healthy. They're actually more very fit, he said. Very thin. He said they're actually thin. I couldn't believe that, but actually they were thin. Because they're actually very, very healthy. They ate very well. And you think there were actually no processed foods. They were not stripping the nutrients out of the food. It was all natural state. And really, only the very, very wealthy kings could actually eat so much meat, because the common people couldn't afford eating all that food. They only had maybe like 1 dog or whatever, or chickens and stuff like that. Yeah, they used to eat dogs before. So, yeah. So with all that, so that lifestyle was much more simple. But you look at today, like we call it the SAD diet, which is the standard American diet, which is Kentucky Fried Chicken, Domino's, Macca's, right? If you look at that diet lifestyle, and the cultures have gone that way with eating unhealthy, and you can see a great rise in like high blood pressure. Hawaiians have the highest, like really high percentage of diabetes, higher than the highest state in all of the United States of America, the Hawaiian group there. So it just shows that they've gone way off the simple diet that they used to be on before, and now it's more on a standard American diet, which is a SAD diet. And because of that, Hawaiians have the worst health in all of the United States because of that. So I learned of this. I changed my diet from a heavy meat-eating diet, and I went to a plant-based diet. And I can tell you that it totally changed my life and my lifestyle. My wife, she had high blood pressure, and she was trying everything. She was exercising and everything, but no matter what she did, her blood pressure still stayed up. She was on drug medications and everything. And then she changed it, and she changed to a plant-based diet, and she actually lost 70 pounds, which is 32 kilos, and she's weighed up to 200 pounds, which is 91 kilos. But she lost 32 kilos, can you believe that? Just by changing her diet. And just that lifestyle changing her, and her blood pressure went down, and she went off all medications. So like, I've seen this because the school I went to actually, they train you in this. And I'm like, wow, I've seen so many people with miracles changing the root cause. Are you seeing that? Like not just taking medications, but on the physical realm, just changing your lifestyle, getting the sunshine, getting the fresh air, going outside, exercising, just the simple things, and it doesn't cost anything. Fresh air doesn't cost anything. Sunshine doesn't cost anything. There's something called New Start. Is nutrition, exercise, water, sunlight, temperance, air, rest, trust. I mean, all these things are all free. Isn't that amazing? With these simple things, you can get over. My older brother, man, he's like the last person I told my wife in the world that would change his lifestyle. He's just like hardcore, probably the best cook. I mean, he cooks these big pots of food. Everyone comes, even my sister say he's the best cook, better than them. But it's a horrible diet. But a few years ago, I had to take him to the emergency room, and his lungs was filling up with fluid because his heart was failing. Ejection fraction, EF they call it, was at 29. 29 below is considered heart failure. He was there, heart failure. And so he had to get his water taken out of his lungs. His LDL was 164, and he changed his diet. He listened to me and said, hey, change your lifestyle. So he didn't even exercise because he couldn't. His heart was so weak. He just changed his diet. In 2 months, his LDLs went from 164 to 120. Triglycerides went from 333 to 200. His ejection fraction went from 29, which was borderline heart failure, and it went all the way up to 47, almost normal, in 2 months. And they say a lot of times they say that your heart failure, you can't reverse it. That's what they tell you. He lost 55 pounds with no exercise in 2 months, and he went from 270 pounds to 215 pounds, and that's about in 2 months. Just changing his diet to a simple diet. Isn't that crazy? Like, that's lifestyle. That's free. That's talking about changing the framing so the house is all plumb. That's what you're doing. You're not just taking a pill and shaving the doors. So, applying it. Now, if you can apply it to the physical realm, you can apply it to the emotional realm. You can apply it to your mental health as well. So, you must go back to the darkness of your past. You see, the reason why we have anger, the reason why we have addictions, is not because it's by accident or it just happened. There's always a root cause to it. Like, why am I getting angry? Why am I losing it? Why am I getting violent? The reason why I'm doing this thing is because they give you anger management, like dealing with the symptom of anger and managing your anger. But that's not solving the problem. Does that make sense? Or they give you too angry, they give you meds, right? So you don't have any emotions anymore. You don't feel any anger anymore because you just can't deal with it. But that's just numbing the feelings. You're not really feeling anymore. That's a horrible existence, by the way, where you can't even feel anymore. That's what happens when you get too violent, they give you these meds. And so you're stuck, you're not dealing with the root cause. Unless you feel, you can't really deal with the root causes. That's why the meds make it even harder for you to heal, because you can't feel anymore, and then you can't even deal with the root causes, because in order to heal, you gotta feel. Does that make sense? So you're not only not dealing with the root cause, you're dealing with the symptoms, and then you take the meds, you're numbing the brain to not feel, and you're way further away from healing than you've ever been. So to really heal, you gotta feel, you gotta go back, and that's why you gotta go back to the source of darkness, right? The kumulipa we talked about. Go back, you got to go back to, I know it may be painful, fearful, dark, but what was it? What was it maybe in your childhood? What was it with your dad? How was it? Was it abusive home? What thing made you so angry growing up? You know, why do you numb your pain with alcohol? What pain is so painful that you don't want to feel, that you just want to numb it? What kind of things are you doing in your life to just get away from what you're doing? So this is something to think about. I currently do sessions with people from America right now, and 1 hour sessions, and I talk about, help them out where they're going through. And this one lady, I'm going to share this one story where this one lady had anxiety, she had deep depression, panic attacks, and she was admitted to several mental health hospitals. And several times, after working with her for just 2 or 3 months, that's all it was, 2 or 3 months, still kind of working with her, but now she said, you know, I'm good, I only need to meet with you once a month. That's what we're meeting at right now. But this in a short time of 2 months, she doesn't have any more panic attacks. She's come out of her depression. She actually had no more episodes. She didn't have to go to any mental health hospitals anymore. And because she dealt with her root causes and she experienced healing there. And she actually felt she was such a slave. She never thought she would ever be able to escape from her dungeon of despair and discouragement that she was at. It's almost like she so expected her rest of her life to be this way. And now she kind of pinch herself, like she can't believe that she actually got out of it, that she overcame all these different things. And so dealing with root causes in the emotional realm, I want you to ask yourself this question. It's in your handout. Have you ever treated your emotional symptoms without dealing with your emotional root causes? And what was it? I give you 20 seconds. Think about this in your own life. That's good. Do you kind of see that? Like you're doing these things to deal with the symptom, just numbing it, yeah? And it's good examples of this kind of, not so you don't have to feel it. I mean, food makes you feel good when you eat it. Comfort food, and it's emotional eating. I mean, just kind of like, you know, alcohol numbs it. Pornography makes you give you that high. So that's just a way to just numb it. But that's telling you that those addictions that you can't get control over, it's controlling you, you're a slave to it. It's telling you that something's wrong. It's not telling you to keep on with your addiction. It's telling you that there's something here that you got to look at. And there's something, what is it that's making you do these things? There's something here that you're hurting from that you feel like you got to numb. Too overworked, overstressed from work, whatever it is, there's something, the root cause is going on. So that's what we're talking about here tonight. And this is like a tool, like, I know we talked about last time, like, anyone here fix cars? Okay. So, that's my hobby. I fix cars on the side kind of thing, like in Hawaii and over here. And I feel that, like my daughter, I taught her how to change the brakes. And then afterwards, one time I said, okay, I taught you several times, you watched me, now you can go and do it yourself. So I give you an hour. So I went in the house and 45 minutes later, she called me back and said, okay, Dad, and came out and checked it out, and she did it perfectly. She did the whole side perfectly, the front brakes. And what if I were to tell you, okay, hey guys, after this class tonight, and I give you a class, 1 hour class on how to change the front brakes, and I just talked about it. How many of you guys are good at this reading instruction or actually throw the instructions away and actually like to see it done or do it yourself? That's me. I don't like to read instructions, but I like to see it hands-on. I'd rather see someone do it and show me, and then I follow them, than read about it and like, huh? And I get confused sometimes. But what if I told you, okay, after this 1 hour class on how to change the front brakes, if this class was about how to change the front brakes, and then I say, okay, now you go out and do it yourself. I mean, how would you feel about that? If I just gave you 1 hour class. Do you feel confident you could do it? You'd be like, oh my goodness, but you take it to a mechanic. but then it's like, that's that stress, right? So, eat more food, right? Eat more food, whatever, yeah. So, and that's the same way I think you have to look at this class that we're doing. Like, you cannot expect, like this emotional healing, you have to look at it as if you're learning a whole new trade. You can't be thinking, oh, I got one class. I think last time we were talking about that a little bit, like, I'm going to go back home and I'm going to apply and make these changes. But what happens if it doesn't happen? Like, it's almost like we can stir you up to get excited, especially when you have the big events, that can stir you up big time. But then when you go back home, you're all pumped up and you got your wives all pumped up, whatever, your family pumped up, but you go back to the same old way. And you can get frustrated and discouraged, right? But it's like, we're not asking you to like, okay, change the front brakes or fix the whole car after one class. Does that make sense? Like, to really learn a trade, it's going to take some time. It's going to take some classes, right? And that's what we're talking about. You need a hands-on. That's where we felt like a weekend retreat would be good, because you get to see how people interact with one another, you know, talking things out one-on-one, like that kind of thing, rather than like hearing someone talk the whole time. That's why I try and make this interactive, where you talk to each other, you think it through in your own mind, and kind of make it practical rather than just you listening to me the whole time. Does that make sense? Like, you need that hands-on. You need like more time. Don't get discouraged when you're like, wow, I tried this and I'm failing. You got to keep on. You don't expect to fix the whole car after one class. That's impossible. But in the same way, you can't expect to fix yourself or to heal after one whole class. So don't get discouraged. That's the whole point of this is take your time in this. So this last section I want to focus on is very important. I think it's very important how you understand this. Who you are is based upon how you think and how you feel on the inside. So your thoughts and your feelings make up who you are, how you think and how you feel. So I kind of like making illustrations so everyone can see. Like, this is the thoughts. This is the feelings, thoughts and feelings, right? So this is what makes you on the inside. This is who you are, your own thoughts and your feelings. Now, your feelings follow your thoughts. So if your thoughts are wrong, what will happen to your feelings? There will be what? Wrong, right? But your thoughts are right, what's going to happen to your feelings? They'll be right, right? Okay, so what you think and feel on the inside, that affects what you do on the outside. Your actions, your behavior. So this is your behavior. So if your thoughts are wrong, your feelings will be what? And your thoughts and feelings are wrong, what's going to be your behavior? It's going to be what? Bad, right? You kind of see that? But if your thoughts are right, and what's going to happen to your feelings? They're going to be what? Right. And then if your thoughts and feelings are right, what's going to happen to your behavior, your actions? They're going to be what? They're going to be true, right? They're going to be right. They're going to be correct. So just thinking about this, in Hawaii, I got to visit this young man in prison, and he had committed double murder, executioner style, and shot these two young men in the back of the head in Hawaii, in this town which experienced no murders like that ever before. And I was talking to him, and you know what I found out? That guess what they were doing right before he went out and killed these two guys who he didn't even know who they were, for no reason at all. What do you think they were doing? Take a shot. They what? No. Oh, video game. Oh, that totally adds to it. Yeah, yeah. What do you think they're doing in the car? Yeah, weed. Alcohol. What else they're doing, you think? What do you think would affect their thoughts? What do you think? What kind of music you think they're listening to?
Killing music.
Huh? Yeah, gangster rap, right? So you listen to this gangster rap music, right? Killing, right? So they listen to what kind of thoughts are they having when they listen to this music? Drill music, yeah. Certain types, right? Gangster. Whatever you listen to this music, what happened to your thoughts? Are they negative thoughts or good thoughts? Negative, right? So you see these negative thoughts, right? And they're getting all pumped up, right? And then after they're all pumped up with these negative thoughts, how did it feel now? Oh, look at those guys right there. They're ready to go, right? Do you see that? They're all pumped up. So the thoughts are, the music, the words, changes the thoughts to think a certain way. And then the thoughts are thinking a certain way, and what happens to the feelings? They feel like they want to do something like that, right? And then when they went out there, their actions follow through on the outside what they already were thinking and feeling on the inside. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So thoughts, feelings, actions. I know that's an extreme example, but that actually happened in real life. So I'm just
So the music, the root cause.
I mean, that's part of it, but I think the root cause, I mean, there's issues when he was, I mean, there's a lot of root causes from his childhood, I'm sure, okay? But this only escalated it. You know what I'm saying? Just like we have anger issues, but alcohol will escalate it, whatever. Whether it can be a happy drunk or angry drunk, right? But it does escalate it. But the root cause, but the thoughts did affect, I think the thoughts did affect his feelings and did escalate his anger and his actions too. So that whole thought of, so what you can do is, you can actually come to the point where your actions out here can reveal how someone is feeling, how someone's thinking. Like you can tell, like I did this recently to a friend, and I told her like, I can tell a lot about a person by what they do and how they act, and she said, okay, go ahead. So I went ahead and started telling her, and I just recently met her. I told her one thing about her, and she listened to me, and then I told her the second thing about her. Number 2, you're like this. And then number 3, you're like this. And then she was quiet. And I said to her, how did I do? And she goes, you're 3 for 3. And then I said, and I felt pretty gutsy, and I said, and number 4, you're like this. And she's like, quiet. And I said, how did I do? She said, you're 4 for 4. And then she said to me, she said, you're telling me stuff about me that not even my close friends know about me. And this is what happens when you reason from cause to effect. Like the external actions, behavior, you can go backwards. And that's what real good doctors, they do that. They look at the external symptoms, what you have, you know, if you're neuropathy or like you can't have no feelings on your legs or whatever, and it tells you like, okay, those symptoms are telling you that, okay, right, there's diabetes or something, right? So that's like, so you can go backwards. There's negative emotions or negative actions on a person, low self-worth. If someone has low self-worth, you already know that they've been abused in some way. That's a natural, automatic action of something that, then you already know, then you think, what type of abuse? I'm already thinking, someone with low self-worth, I already know the thoughts and feelings, something's wrong here. Why? Because somehow they have, in the past, something happened to them. So I'm asking myself the question, what type of abuse did they have? It's not if, it's more like what type. You've been sexually abused, you've been emotionally abused, whatever, what is it? You've been physically abused. So that's something I tend to do a lot. My daughter, I do the same, I play around with her, I say to her, I can read your mind. And she goes, what? But I just play with her and I just tell her stuff, play around with her. But you can actually use, when you come to a point where you can actually know the external behavior and you can trace it backwards to the wrong feelings and then the wrong thoughts. Any questions on this so far? Or any thoughts on this? So, the solution is just replacing you have the wrong thoughts here, right? So what you have to do is replace the wrong thoughts with correct right thoughts. And the solution is always on a higher love. Like there must be a thought must be based upon a higher love. So the higher love is based upon like unselfishness. Yeah. With that is the higher love that must be replaced these false thoughts. And the lower love is more based upon like selfishness. Yeah, that's any selfish thoughts, it really ends to actually destroy you more. And it brings you more down and pulls you down as a slave even more. And what sets you free is more like a higher love of unselfish thoughts that goes against what you think about things or yourself. I tend to like to watch or actually listen to stories about people who've, like heroes. That kind of catches me. Like, you know, like you said, America, we have so much like mass shootings. But how many of you read those stories about guys or girls in the midst of the mass shootings, they did some like heroic stuff. Like they even gave up their lives to save someone else in the midst of the shooter. How many of you guys read a story like that? It's pretty amazing. And is those thoughts of higher love that really sets people free. And for every single root cause here of a negative thought that brings out a bad behavior, there is always a higher love-based solution for it. And that's why you have to first, to help someone else, you have to figure out, okay, what is the root cause? Why is this person like this? So I kind of work backwards. I find, okay, what is the behavior like? What are the actions? Are they getting angry, right? Are they like depressed? Are they in panic attacks? Then I go back, okay, how is this person feeling? And I even may use their feel. Well, how do you feel? I use the actions and feelings to determine what is the wrong thoughts. And once I find out the wrong thoughts, then I find, okay, what is actually the correct way of thinking that goes against this lie that this person is believing. They believe this lie that they're worth nothing because they've been told their whole life that you're good for nothing, you're not going to amount to nothing in your life, you're totally worthless, right? So this is a lie. So you have to come with the correct higher love and say, no, you are worth something. You know, you're very valuable. So you have to change that thought, negative thought pattern. And when you change that to a higher love, then that changes the feelings, then it changes the behavior, and it changes the whole person. Like, this is solution oriented. This is not just dealing with the symptoms. Dealing with symptoms over here would just be like, oh, this, you know, tell yourself this, or go out and treat yourself to something to make yourself feel better. Go spend $100 for yourself and go whatever to make yourself feel better. But it's not dealing with their thoughts over here. Just in my family, I grew up in an abusive home. My dad was an alcoholic. My grandfather was an alcoholic. My grandfather died at the age of 49 from alcohol abuse. My dad has passed away already. And from a young age, at 11, I was drinking hard liquor that, for whatever, is in my blood, I guess. But that generation to generation, passed down, that cycle of abuse is just passed down from grandfather to father to son. And, you know, growing up in an alcoholic home, I don't know how many of you grew up in an alcoholic home, but it's like you don't know if your dad's gonna be a happy drunk one night or an angry drunk the next night, and just have to, you know, run from your dad because you know what's gonna happen next. And just see my sister just all bloody from being beaten from my dad. It's just like a horrible life to kind of be raised in. And just the anger and the hurt and the pain, and you're thinking to yourself that, okay, I'm not gonna be this way. But when you get married and you have a child and you see like, wow, the same patterns that were happening in my family is passed down to generation, right? Passed down to the third and fourth generations, right? The scripture says, so it is passed down to the next generation, and a cycle of abuse. And like somebody needs to come in and stop that cycle. Like you can say all you want that I'm gonna break the cycle, but unless you actually do something different, and not just saying it, but actually changing your whole way of thinking, we're gonna go fall back right into the same thing. And that's why this root cause has been very personal to me, because going back to my own personal issues and dealing with my pain from the past, and that has helped really my relationship with my wife and with my daughter as well. And I know that as you go through this, it's going to really help you and your family if you continue to grow in this. So anyway, something to think about. And yeah, this is a case scenario I want you to think about. I think this is a good time where we can end. But I want you to maybe take this home and think about how you can solve this problem. We normally do this at the end. It says, Robert's a really good friend. He's always having fun and joking around whenever you see him. But the last time he came to you for a haircut, he was totally down. You find out that things have taken a turn in his life recently, where he now falls into deep states of worthlessness and depression. You find out that some bad memories of his past of being abused and put down as a child have come back to him out of nowhere. He asks you for help. What do you do? So, this is something that you can take home as homework. And I really challenge you to go over these notes again and try to discover, even when you're working and doing things like in plumbing or electrical around the house or carpentry or whatever you may be doing, try to think problem solving. I know you're doing it, but what is the root cause of this? How can I really fix this thing? And then apply it to your life in every aspect and go think about, okay, how is it, what am I doing in my life why am I stuck in this rut of pornography? Or why am I stuck in this addiction? Or why am I keep on getting angry? I can't control it. Like go back and really think about what is it in my life that's going on that happened to me in my past that is affecting me to be this way. And then as you go through that, the light will come and will help you. Yeah.